I don't care if you have been in the game 10 minutes or 10 years, you have to re-up your know-how. You have to keep motivated. And the best way to do that? Well, I have 6 totally free resources and 4 very inexpensive resources that can help you over and over again. How do I know? Because they're the exact ones I use. Listen in. I think you'll like them. You are listening to the Creative Women's League podcast. I'm your host and biggest fan, Kate Toney. Creative women entrepreneurs all over the globe turn to the Creative Women's League for social media advice, marketing help, and to get their minds in the mode to achieve bigger than they ever thought possible. Whether it's hearing the journey of your favorite creative badasses or the expert business advice shared, CWL is here for you with a whole lot of laughs, heaps of honesty, and endless support. Because over here, we know the secret sauce to building your creative empire all starts with motivation, inspiration, know-how, and community. If you want to exceed every goal, defeat the doubt, cast out fear, and connect with your fellow creative Wonder Woman, well, my dear, it's time to join the Creative Women's League. Hello. It is another wonderful Wednesday here for the Creative Women's League podcast. Super excited to have you tuning in. Of course, I am Kate, your podcast host. So happy to have you here with me. I hope you're tuning in over on Instagram at Creative Women's League, in our Facebook group, Creative Women's League on Facebook. And this list of resources that I'm going to give to you today, it will be on our website, thecwl.com/episode 117. So that's episode 117, all one word, all together, just so you don't have to remember all of these resources I'm going to give you today. Because I know so many of you listen in line while you go to pick up the kids. You're listening while you're driving to work, home from work, on road trips. I love seeing when you guys listen to the CWL podcast. Clue me in over on Instagram. Tag me in your photos, in your Instagram stories. I love to see it. And I will share it on our Instagram as well. You shout me out, I'll shout you out, of course. I love that you turn to me week over week. I never thought the numbers that we have could happen. I always dreamed that the community we have could happen, but didn't really think it possible. It has been amazing. I'm super keen to start providing bigger and better CWL resources for you. And by the way, if you have any recommendations on what that should look like, any suggestions, anything that you think we could do better, please reach out. You can always reach out via Instagram, or you can email thecwlinfo@gmail.com. I'd love to talk to you about it. I really would love to hear from you. Just like you can't get all your nutrients from one food source, you can't get all your help from one source either. You need to diversify. I have very specific opinions around this. If you have bought an online course for Instagram or to learn how to make an online course, whatever it may be, and you have paid money for an expert, I believe in listening to that one expert and not getting too many cooks in the kitchen. You're slowly going to start to dilute the information they gave you. Kind of work, kind of doesn't work. In those scenarios, you need to listen to one person. But when you are gobbling up information because you are trying to make your business better, you're trying to find these free resources, you're trying to steal bits of know-how anywhere you can, you need to diversify. Make sure your pool of experts spans ages, genders, races, locations, even industries. Too many creative people forget to turn to other creative industries to see what is working elsewhere and to see how we can bring it to us. So here's a list of my favorite resources. 6 of these are free podcasts. You need to subscribe to many podcasts. First off, you want to hit subscribe, whether it's our podcast or a giant podcast like the Marie Forleo podcast. Hitting subscribe helps podcasts. You're going to have podcasts you listen to religiously because you're a dedicated part of their following, right? You are their core audience, their ideal customer. You're going to follow those podcasts week over week. Then you're going to have podcasts where you pick out an episode here, pick out an episode there, ones that sound like they're going to work for you. I have a few podcasts where I do that as well. It's great to have them in your arsenal to call on when you need them. The other 4 resources are books that I have listened to multiple times each. First off, I listen to books because I can do that while driving or sewing or cleaning the house. It works best for me. I like to, while I travel, put in my headphones, zone out, looking out the window, and listen to a book. You may read them if that works best for you, but I will probably say listen or hear, and that is why I often listen to books. But these are my 4 of my absolute must reads, okay? I've always wanted to do a CWL book club, and we still might one day, so let me know if you're interested. I have many book recommendations. These are just the ones that I go back to over and over again. I listen to these books regularly when I'm looking for inspiration, motivation, know-how, and trying not to spend money. So that's why I lean back on the books that I love, I know motivate me, and can keep me in the zone. Because I do other things while listening, right? I just said I clean the house, I sew. And because these books have so much information, there's always something new and informative when I listen back to the books. Or even some of these books, You Are a Badass, I have listened to over and over and over and over again. So there's not necessarily new information in there for me, but sometimes I will get to a part of the book and be like, oh man, I forgot about this. Yeah, I don't do that. I've been forgetting a step. I've been forgetting an important thing. So I never feel bored listening to these again. I always feel like there is new and awesome information for me out there. Okay, so we are going to start with podcasts first. First, we have the Online Marketing Made Easy podcast with Amy Porterfield. And Amy Porterfield is an online marketing whiz. She's one of my favorite podcast mentors. I have even bought a course with Amy. So I love Amy. She is so sweet. She is so kind. We all have so much to learn from Amy and her years of experience. So she works mainly in the online marketing, course creation, email list building world. Some of her episodes might not apply to you and your business directly, right? If she's talking about how to create a lucrative online course, you may be like, yeah, I'm not doing that right now. Maybe one day. But you can apply them to your business in different ways. And there is still amazing know-how for the online space. There are episodes that feature experts that seriously span all industries. I have had a lot of people start listening to Amy Porterfield, and Amy has sparked ideas for their businesses in ways that they were never thinking about it before. If you are new to online marketing, if this whole business thing is new to you, listen to Amy. She has amazing ideas for you. Plus, I just love her because she's so kind and supportive and sweet. You know, a lot of you turn to me for tough love, and I love to give tough love. I don't think Amy really gives a whole lot of tough love. She's the more sweet and supportive mentor. Sometimes she'll get like, you can't really do that. And I'm like, ooh, Amy's got her tough voice, so you will love her. Next, we have Building a Story Brand podcast with Donald Miller. So I read Donald Miller's book first, which we will talk about later in this episode. I really think Donald Miller's podcast is my favorite. He just soared right to the front of my favorite podcasts this year, because at the beginning of the year, he did 12 episodes over 12 weeks that went through his story brand framework, which you'll understand more of later. Don't worry about it. These episodes were so good. Some of the best podcast episodes I've ever heard. I have fallen so in love. If you heard Holly Ann Knight from String and Story, her episode, we both talked about how we have like a little bit of a crush on Donald Miller. It's our nerdy little like, oh, my mentor crush. Donald Miller works in marketing, right? This is where his framework comes from. It's how to market your business. It's know-how we all need and didn't have before. He really helps you look at marketing in a new light, and he is constantly working on this podcast to help you look at marketing in new ways, to help you understand how to reach your audience, how to strike a chord with your audience, how to really motivate them. You're going to love this podcast. If you aren't listening already, get over there, hit the subscribe button. Next, we have the Switch, Pivot, or Quit podcast, which I thought when I first found it, I was like, not that it's an intense title, but I just didn't think it was for me. The host, Ayana Angel, says that the podcast is for the girlfriend sitting at work thinking, this can't be my life. So I thought that this wasn't really for me, but the episodes sounded so good. And let me tell you, they are. And this podcast will help you, even if you aren't the girlfriend sitting at your day job wondering if you should switch, pivot, or quit. With episodes like What Would You Do Without Fear and People Won't Give You What You Aren't Ready to Ask For, this podcast helps you do the mental work, and she is a wonderful person to coach you through it. By the way, Ayana's new book, Quit Playing Small, is now out. It is on my list of books to get. I cannot wait. There will be a link over on our website, thecwl.com/episode 117. Trust me, this podcast is wonderful. Next up, we have Build Your Tribe podcast. Shailene Johnson, if you don't know her, she is a guru, let me tell you. She not only has found notoriety and wealth within the Beachbody family, so she is a fitness personality. She is also an Instagram marketing expert. I mean, a serious whiz. Before there were Instagram marketing experts, there was Shailene Johnson. So she is wonderful. Such a wealth of knowledge. And now her son is in on the family business, and they have created this fantastic podcast together. I love Shailene's episodes because she is always thinking in a different capacity than other podcasters. She gets some of the most interesting guests and has years and years and years of Instagram expertise to lean on. When I first started doing Instagram marketing and dipping my toe into the online marketing realm, Shailene was there for me all those years ago, and Shailene is there for me now. Plus, she could also totally kick your butt and get you into shape. I love it. I really enjoy Build Your Tribe podcast. And like I said, now that she has her son Brock in on it, it is fun to have a family affair here. He has gone into the family business and he has such a great mind for it, just like his mom. Okay, let's jump right into talking about Side Hustle Pro podcast, because I know you're going to love this podcast. I just know it. I love host Nikayla Matthews-Okome, and I know you will too. Side Hustle Pro is for you. I know this for a fact because you listen to the CWL and you love our interviews, right? And that's what Side Hustle Pro is doing. It is telling you the stories of Black women entrepreneurs killing it, just crushing it, taking their side hustle and turning it into lucrative businesses, which is what we all want to do, right? The stories are incredibly motivating. There is so much knowledge. I know you guys love to binge listen to podcasts, and this one is perfect. I mean, perfect to binge listen to. You will be ready to take on the world after listening to all this Black girl magic. You're going to love it. Also, if you are looking to start a podcast and you would like a coach for that, Nikayla Matthews-Okome is there for you. You can go to her website, She offers coaching in the podcasting realm. I really should take advantage of it. Actually, I should go over there and hire her. Let's find money in the budget for that. It is also totally required that you go follow Side Hustle Pro on Instagram. So at Side Hustle Pro, just continuing that motivation and inspiration that you need. We all need. I love these stories. You're truly going to love this podcast. Next up, we have the Marie Forleo podcast. If you have been on online marketing, if you have been an entrepreneur, if you have been around, you know Marie Forleo. I mean, Oprah Winfrey has wonderful things to say about this woman. So obviously, sign me up. I love Marie Forleo because she's no nonsense. She is more tough love. It's why it's really funny to listen to episodes with Amy Porterfield and Marie Forleo. They're good friends. Because Amy is that soft place to land, and Marie is more like, get your ass up and do it. I love Marie. She also has fantastic YouTube videos. She is somebody you need to know. A wealth of knowledge, so smart, been around forever now, so she has withstood the test of time. Trust me, you have to have Marie Forleo in your life. Those were our 6 free resources with these podcasts. Now let's talk about 4 resources. They are paid resources, but they are inexpensive because they're books. They're also a wonderful investment of your money. A wonderful investment because it's $30 or less, and you're going to listen to them over and over and over again, or read them over and over and over again. So we're going to start off with Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Building a story brand is something you want to read and be familiar with before listening to Donald Miller's podcast. Okay, maybe not before. I'll allow you to start listening to Donald Miller's podcast because I think you need to. But you definitely want to put this book at the top of your list if you're going to start listening to his podcast, because you're going to understand it more. Not only are you going to understand his podcast more, you're going to understand your marketing more. You're also going to understand, look, the list goes on and on. You're also going to understand how I speak to you about marketing a lot more. Donald Miller has come up with a framework. It's basically a plug and play way to do your branding. It's phenomenal. It helps you totally rethink how you have been doing your marketing. You're going to see so many mistakes you're making. You're going to see exactly how to execute in a way that will compel people to buy, in a way that will compel people to be obsessed with your brand. My other book, now this one was hard. This is Marketing by Seth Godin, is so good. I am obsessed with Seth Godin. I couldn't choose one book. So I think you need to read everything from Seth Godin. Seth Godin has 1 million books. It'll take you a while to get through. Some of my personal favorites, I couldn't decide between Tribes, Why We Need You to Lead Us. That helps you really feel, it really helps you feel this greater sense of purpose and why you should become a leader in your industry, a leader of people. Then there's also The Icarus Deception, which is what actually caused me to think about myself differently in a way that I could become an entrepreneur. The Icarus Deception helped me gain that confidence and do it. And This is Marketing is his most recent book, and I'm obsessed. Seth Godin is like Yoda. He's always going to tell you something that is completely off the wall from what everybody else is telling you. He thinks about marketing and being a leader and creating content in a different way than anybody else. I love him. I like his strange voice. I love his strange cadence. I just love Seth Godin. So This is Marketing. Once again, I couldn't boil it down to which one I wanted to include on the list. I think you should read all of them. But marketing is what Creative Women's League members have issues with over and over and over again. Read it, listen to it on repeat. Your brain's just going to explode. I can just promise you that your brain is going to explode. Next book is The Power of Self-Discipline by Brian Tracy. The first time I listened to this book, I was doing it because I was trying to get more self-discipline in my life. I was terrible, and still can be often, quite often, terrible at the whole self-discipline game. I never listened to me and what I needed to do. I bought this book. I got 1/16 of the way through it, and I hated it. Brian Tracy was boring. The content was boring. I was done. Put it down, and I picked it up, honestly, years later, and started listening from where I left off because I was not starting over. From that point, I don't know if it was just that it wasn't what I needed to hear before when I started it, or if the beginning of the book really is boring. But when I picked it back up, I was amazed. Truly, deeply amazed. The information this book was giving me was eye-opening, and I really started to love it. Since then, it is one that I will put on repeat because self-discipline is a constant work in progress for me. Self-discipline is not something that I cross the finish line on and suddenly I'm done and wow, look at me, I'm so self-disciplined. I love to put this one on. Brian Tracy can be a little old school, but never in a way that I find off-putting. And trust me, hello, feminist killjoy, I would be all over it. I think that some people have a hard time with this book because it is very much hard work will get you there. Get there earlier in the morning. Be the last one to leave. But I don't know what to tell you. Getting there early, putting in the work, being the last person to leave, those are some of the things that really work. So I really like this book. I think you should give it a listen or a read. Really enjoy it. Brian Tracy also became a guru. So I had never heard of him until this point. Like I said, I think it's more of an old school type thing, but I love him. I love this book. Last but not least, we have my love. My absolute love. You Are a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero. So Jen has 3 books at this point. You Are a Badass, You Are a Badass at Making Money, and You Are a Badass Every Day. You need to read all of them. But the one that I have on repeat is You Are a Badass at Making Money because we all have so many hangups on making money. It is crazy. One of my favorite things that she says is sex and money are 2 things that we are never going to talk about. You're never going to be able to discuss openly with people, but you're also expected to be great at it. And it's so true. I had some of the most caring, loving, well-intentioned parents, and they were like, don't go into debt, bye. And we each have our own unique hang-ups around money. I have never met anybody who isn't mentally stopped up, completely constipated on money, one way or another. You don't feel that you deserve lots of it. You don't feel that you could possibly get it. You don't feel that there's enough of it out there for you. You are terrified and think it is a scarce resource. So you're holding on to what you have so tight that your nails are starting to cut into your hand and you're bleeding everywhere. You Are a Badass at Making Money needs to be in your rotation because, remember, head of a corporation, heart of a solopreneur. We are doing this. This is your year. You have got to get around your self-limiting beliefs about money so that you can make lots of it and change not only your world, but the whole world. I love this book. Read everything by Jen Sincero, but definitely get this one, today, as soon as you can. Once again, you don't have to remember this list. You don't have to try and jot things down while you're driving. Head over to the CWL.com/episode 117. We will have all the info there for you so that you may eat up all of these awesome resources. I want to know if you're listening to them. I want to know if you have bought these books. I want to know what you love to read, to listen to, who inspires you. Get over on Instagram at Creative Women's League. Tag me in your stories, in your posts. I love to see it. I want to know who you turn to outside of the CWL, of course, for your motivation, inspiration, know-how, and community. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please share this podcast with the other creative badasses you know, subscribe, and I will see you next week for another fantastic episode. Love ya. See you later. You're still here? It's over. Go home.